good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Bärenzung. As mentioned, I'm doing some consulting here, in fact, in Switzerland for a private bank. I used to work in China and so on. So, if you look on my profile on LinkedIn, you will know everything about me. No social engineering there. So I will not go into my life. So today, the topic of my talk is regarding cybersecurity training and how to raise awareness. So to summarize, very simple, why we have to do that, how you should do that, okay, and on which topic, what are the subjects you should address. So let's go into the why. Sorry. So there are many reasons, okay, from the image you can guess some of them. First, every day is bringing a lot of news, okay, Neuchâtel, Credit Suisse, recently Okta breach also, which can affect many companies. So the goal is not to go into the details, but as you are most of you familiar with all this, so no point. So why doing training for people? Because human is usually known as a weakest link, but I don't like this term, so I will explain why. So if you look at some report, typically the Verizon data breach investigation report, they say that 85% of the data breach are caused by human error, okay, voluntary and involuntary. Of course, most of the attack at one point or the other, they need to click on something to install, to go on a phishing link, and so on. So human is definitely a nice target. So why we should raise security awareness? To protect, okay? It can be protecting your family, your colleagues, your company, your patients, the citizens. So depending in which organization you are working, you are at one point to protect someone and something business too, okay? The goal of the training is really to make, in fact, the human your best ally in the company, okay, the strongest control, okay. People say it's the weakest link because a lot of errors are coming from human, but it's not because people are weak, okay, just because it's an easy target for cyber criminal. It's much easier to send 1,000 emails to someone than just trying to get into firewall and things like this. So the target is really to make the people the strongest control. As you know, most probably some of you are working in SOC and so on. At one point or the other, you may have a mail with a phishing link or the document corrupted, which may go through all the firewalls. So how should you train people? How should you raise awareness? Okay. First, the first thing you should do when you do the training is explain why you are doing this training, okay? You have to explain why your company is at risk, why we count on the people to do this security, okay? And the why is very important because, it's not psychology, it's pure biology, okay? So the why is at the center of the brain, and it gives the people why they should do it and why they should, how can I say that? Believe in what you are saying, okay? You can give lots of numbers and so on, but at the end, if you don't explain why, people will forget and they will not continue to help you on the subject. Another aspect is, of course, getting the board on board. So, you need the support from the top management, okay? And don't go to the board saying, okay, I have an issue, can you help me, and so on. You have to go to the board with a solution, okay, and explain them exactly what you need from them, okay? If some people are familiar with the management concept of feeding other monkeys, that's typically the goal. The goal is not to bring your monkey to the board, but more to get them helping you how to solve the issue. I'm making it quick, okay, sorry, but if you want to ask questions after it, I'm at your disposal. So in terms of content, multiple formats, okay? So I give you some posters, okay? So you see different posters around the world. As you can see, you really have to adapt the culture. For example, I take the French one on the left, and I talk to some colleagues in Japan, and they say this we can never do in Japan. It will not work. So this is valid for country, but this is also valid for the company culture. Okay, you don't do the same training in a private bank than on a startup or the medtech company. So you are ready to adapt to your assistant, to the audience. Some company, okay, I will come back on the budget later on, but people are publishing newsletter, okay, and some even are publishing booklets to popularize the subject. If you really want to keep the audience involved, you can organize events. For example, at IWC, so the watch company, they are doing that on a regular basis. They are organizing this lunch and learn topic. Some companies are also using some special months, like for example in Europe, you have the European Cybersecurity Month in October, so people are doing a lot of events during this month. In Singapore, it will be in May. As you have seen on the booth, a lot of goodies, okay? So, by the way, if some people want some mug, I have some of them. So they are delivering mouse pad and so on. Okay, so really to make the people think all day long regarding security. Regarding slides, this is the most common as of today. So there is a 10, 20, 30 rules. Okay, I will not go into the details, but 10 slide, 20 minutes, and big fonts, okay? I mean, as you can see, I'm not putting a lot of text in my slide, but I usually don't like when people are putting all the lecture on the thing. In terms of video, the, let's say, optimum timing is around 3-6 minutes. They make a survey and so that's what came out. Okay, so I give you some example again in terms of culture. So this one is done by the French. So I don't know if we can hear the sound, but let me check. It doesn't work. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so just to give you an idea, a little bit of humor. This is done by the ministry in France. So this is not a joke. And if you go into Japan, you will see different things. Okay, so the culture, always important. So gamification, this is the trend. So you will see the ANSSI, so the National Agence Nationale de Sécurité Informatique in France. They just published a kit for the schools, in fact. They just made a conference yesterday on that. So in terms of gamification, there are two aspects. One is the content, how you build your content, and then the great idea is to also engage internal competition. The good thing about competition is that even if you don't give score, and if your campaign is well done, the people will always try to evolve in the better way, okay? As far as they are not the top one, they will continue to improve. And I will give you an example after. So why game? Okay, this morning, in the first conference, it was the army, but if you remember, at one point it was mentioned learn while playing. So this is the case. So it increased the motivation and the engagement of the audience. This is very important. And also now with the let's say use of machine learning, you can also adapt your game to the audience level. Okay, if you get a beginner in cybersecurity, you can ask some question. And if it's someone who already expert, you can adapt the content to the person. So this is an example done at Viseka in Switzerland. So first, this is voluntary. Okay, they are not asking everyone to participate. They started voluntary. They do that 3 times a year. But the more they do it, the more people are willing to participate. And the great thing about this is just not an e-learning where people have to click and so on. There is really a marketing campaign within the company with a lot of poster and goodies distributed within the company. So this is not only please click on the e-learning thing and try to do the game. So this is and it's working. And people are really asking for it. And I just read before an example also with the ITV company in the media in the UK. They did organize an escape room on cybersecurity, and within the company, it really became something very famous, and people now asking when do we get the next escape room, and so on. So game is really the trend and something you should investigate. So this is an example, for example, of what is done by a Swiss startup like Tao. I have no action, whatever. Okay, so just to give you an idea. So you have very basic cartoon at the level question 1, question 2, question 3. But if you look how the programming is done, you see that there is a lot of direction because, of course, the profile of the audience. Depending how the people will answer the first question, they will be redirected to another one, and so on and so on. So you can build very complex scenario which adapt to the audience of the whole company and the different level of knowledge. What you should do also is to measure, okay? You need to get KPI, key performance indicator. And why you need that? First, usually because you need to justify your budget, okay? Your manager will probably ask, what did you do with your money, with my money? And then, of course, track the evolution, okay? The goal is really to improve the situation of your company in terms of cybersecurity awareness. And also to evaluate your overall company maturity level. I put here, I think Sans has a booth in the exhibition. So there is a Sans maturity level, which allows you to see where you stand and where you should go. So if you need some information on that, you can contact Sans or you can contact me after. How you do that? So nothing special here. Quiz, that's the most famous one. There is more and more notification button. I mean, Microsoft is proposing one in Outlook to mention phishing link and so on. Of course, you have the hotline for some companies. Okay, people are calling you to solve some cybersecurity issues or asking questions. And when you do training, you can also ask for satisfaction surveys. Okay, it's always interesting, including for the trainer, to see if the presentation was good or not, what should be improved next time, and so on. And also, I forget this one, get enough data. Okay, if it's statistics, sorry, I should bring something. If you need statistics, you need enough data. For example, if you do one phishing campaign per year, it's not enough. Okay, you should do at least 6. I mean, usually people say 8 phishing campaigns per year. You don't have to do once every 2 weeks because otherwise people will overread. And it will not be easy for them. At the end, they will not participate anymore. So on which elements you should get measured? First, how many people how many incidents are reporting, phishing emails, and so on. Also, you should ask positive things. Okay, reporting. Question asked to the security team. I mean, sometimes I do a training and people call me after to say, okay, I didn't understand that, or or later on, even 1 month later, they say, Eric, I have this thing, can you help me, and so on. And of course, training and satisfaction survey. And I put in smaller cases the phishing link. Okay, of course, that's the easiest thing. Or when you do a phishing campaign, you can measure how many people click on the link, but it really depends on the efficiency on the campaign. And then I would say this brings a negative aspect to the training. Okay, so of course you can measure it, but depending the quality of the campaign, you can get crazy numbers. So it might give a wrong picture, and also people might be afraid to report it later on. In terms of things not to do. Don't blame, okay? If people click on the phishing link during a campaign, don't say, you clicked, it's not good, and so on. Okay, maybe after 10 campaigns, if the person has not understand, maybe. But at the beginning, don't do that, okay? It's much better to reward the people, say, okay, here is the best department, the best person, and so on. I give a picture of the radar. I don't know if you know this one. This is in Stockholm. So this is a speed radar, but instead of saying, okay, you are running too fast, okay, if you are under the limit, you are participating to a lottery, okay? And people are now, the speed limit, the speed measure are going down and down because more and more people are taking attention to be able to participate to the lottery. So depending your company, you might need help. Okay, so you might need help because you are not enough people, okay, or your team is already booked 150% on something else, and also in terms of budget, you might be limited. So you can get help to deliver training, okay, face-to-face training and so on, but also to create content, okay, as there are many companies around the world providing content on a regular basis because training as security is an ongoing process, okay, so you need to refresh your content on a regular basis. If you do a one training when you go into the company and there is no more training till the end of your life, there's no point, okay, so you are really to refresh. And a lot of companies are providing such content. Training on what? So we just mentioned social engineering before. Okay, so I will not talk of my previous speaker. Phishing is a classic one. I would say it's normal. Typically in the financial industry, thank you. You saved me. Phishing for 80% of the financial industries, this is a major threat. Password policy, okay, you have good practice. I mean, people sometimes are trying to make it great. So, they want to send a file, they're encrypted and so on. But the password, the credit number is 12348. Okay, so there's no point putting a password like this. Removable media, okay. I know it's not too much a trend anymore. I mean, if you look on the books, there are not so much USB stick. Okay, it used to be. But I put it back because at the beginning of the year, some people in the States received back USB stick by mail, in fact, at home. And, you receive that by mail with an Amazon thing and so on, and people try to log on and to put their USB and the PC, and of course it was malware inside. So this is also important, okay, even if it's not so common anymore, but you see, it's not forgotten by the cyber criminal. Mobile security, okay, most of us are looking at their email, accessing their bank and so on through a mobile application. So up to, patching, okay, patching a software upgrade, nothing, there is an audience here, I should not even have to say that, but it's always good to point out. And also, depending on the industry you are working on data leak prevention, okay. You don't want, okay, in the banking industry, your customer or your employee list to go out, but if you are in the pharmaceutical, you don't want any IP, or in the watch industry, the same thing, intellectual property and so on. So data leak is very important. Okay, that was the classic. So then, depending what is your activity, you might be interested to have, of course, a training on secure software development. You can work on IoT and embedded security. Some of us are starting to look at quantum security. And of course, the big topic is crisis management. Okay, so this is a real big one. So the picture is one from the ITU. So they organize on a regular basis cyber drill. So this one was done in Moldavia. And that's it. So I was fat. Okay, so to summarize, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Okay, you have to adapt to your audience. You really need to explain why you are doing training, and practice, and practice. It's a basic. So we have a lot of time to talk if you want. If you have questions, whatever.
First of all, thank you very much, Eric. Please give him a big round of applause. Thank you. Any questions for Eric?
Hi. Thank you very much for the speech here. So my question is, in the industry where I work in, I have 120 colleagues that work with me. And of the 120 colleagues, Since I've taken over, I've sent multiple emails out, especially about phishing and spamming, and especially about like different attacks and stuff. And the point where I'm getting at is, from what I've seen, is that when I send out these emails that try to warn people and tell them, hey, be careful for these attacks and stuff, I've come to find out that some of the users will actually take the email and just throw it away directly. So they don't even read the information. And it's not very complicated information. It is simple tabs of like 4 informations. Why is it happening? How come is it happening? And what will it affect on our network? And like I said, for me, the question would be, what could I do to improve at that point? If the message is not getting to them, what else could I try to do to try to warn these users, hey, you need to pay attention to this because this is critical?
I would say you should first try, instead of sending emails, just try to organize small meetings, and even a 15 minutes or 20 minutes presentation. You have 180 people, you do like 5 sessions on different days during different weeks, and step by step you engage your audience and you explain them. I mean, email, we are receiving thousands of them every day, and it's difficult. So unless till the day your company will have a problem, or they will have a problem at home and so on, they might not feel concerned. So yeah, instead of sending email, I would say just try organizing very small meeting. Don't spend 1 hour. I'm doing 1 hour training sometime on main topics, but if you want to address only phishing, okay, just explain why, give an example. Just, for example, give a fake. You can build it. I'm doing that. You can build a fake email, say, okay, take care attention of this thing, on this thing, on this thing. And if you see that if you see that this is a phishing link, then you should do that. So to better do that and also maybe if you are working, I don't know in which industry you're working, but maybe you can give some examples, to say, okay, here is what happened to our, let's say, colleagues or competitors and so on, and just to, again, the why, okay, why the company is at risk, why your audience is, should take care of that, okay? Because as I was mentioning before, one day or the other, one mail with a corrupted file might go through all the security system. So you really need to explain why. Just do a quick meeting, I would say. Instead of saying, sending 10 times the email, just do a 10 minutes, 15 minutes meeting.
So without giving out too much information of my company, they were actually hacked back in 2020.
Okay.
So the problem is that the users do know that there is a huge vulnerability. And that's the problem what I'm having to deal with now, is that since I've taken over in 2021, the problem is that the users know that there was a hacking, but seem to be reluctant on how they want to deal with the future of how to protect the company. So, yeah.
Yeah, because maybe they were not enough impacted themselves by the hack. That's why. They are still working, so it's something, the company didn't go bankrupt, so maybe they say, okay, fine. And sometimes so people are giving the impression that security is a security department or an IT department issue. It's not the case. It's everyone issues with it. So it's really, we can have a talk after if you want offline. I would be pleased to see, to discuss and see.
All right, cool. Thank you.
So,
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Getting the board on board is important, but getting employees too. Okay. That's the most important, in fact. I wanted to put this picture, but I didn't have the time. I take a picture of a very old castle, okay? You have all these walls and so on, but at one point you still have windows where people can watch out and where people can point the fire on the enemy, okay? So you can put 20 meters high wall at the top. There is always one guy or several one to take care of the security.
Any more questions?
Sorry?
Hi, thank you. You mentioned the possibility of doing a training on DLP, on data loss prevention.
Yeah.
How would you go about setting this up?
So, I would say first is to, in terms of data leak prevention, first you have to provide information regarding the data classification. Okay, how is it within your company? How is the data classified, and how it should be protected? Okay, typically secret data are encrypted, limited audience, and so on. Okay, so that's the first thing. How is it classified? And then, if you have already a DLP tool within your company, you potentially can have statistics on the department you are teaching to. Okay, so you might say, okay, over the last year we observed this. Okay, so the type of alert, it was high, low, medium, it was normal, it was critical. Some were reported, and so on. And then I would say, of course, best practice. Okay, so you should instead of sending email internally, you should do this. For example, you have a secure folder or SharePoint, restricted SharePoint. Okay, instead of sending emails with potentially secret information, which can be, I would not say thrown away, but a mistake, sending to the wrong destination and so on, it's easy out. So giving best practice, and also, this is, we can discuss that after. I'm here later on. But what do you have to protect? What has been observed? Okay, and what should be done to correct their wrong behaviors? Okay. And the advantage when you do that on a regular basis is that you can go back the next year, or the next 6 months, and say, okay, we see the evolution and so on. Okay, sometimes, I don't know, your company might say, sorry, I don't have the solution. Okay, people say, I would like to do that and this and that. Say, okay, sorry, for the time being, we don't have the solution. So the best solution would be to do this way, even if it's not perfect, but at least people are aware. I see another question here.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yes.
Maybe you're familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect. When the less familiar you are with the subject, the more expert you feel. And I've noticed that some people, after one workshop on cybersecurity, feel like they're really confident about the fact about identifying a spam. And how would you prevent it?
Are you organizing phishing campaign or?
Yeah, my company.
So make it a very complex one. You make a one sent by the boss. Okay, with a very close email domain, and you will see.
Okay, so destructive.
You will see the result, and people. Hopefully, some of them will have the right behavior, but some. If you make it tricky, it can be very tricky for the people. Okay.
Thank you.
That's why I was mentioning the fish link click. How many people are clicking on a phishing link? It really depends on the quality. Okay, if you get something with DHL, you get the wrong order. Everyone knows this is a fake now. If you start to make it a little bit tricky, you might have interesting results, if I can say that.
Any more questions for Eric? Yes. Hello. So I've spoken with a CISO who organized a phishing campaign, and he told me the union asked for psychological support for people falling the trap. And I was surprised, but actually people used this psychological support and was ashamed or felt guilty for being fallen inside the trap. Do you have any experience, insight about that?
No, that's what I was mentioning. Don't blame. Huh? If you have a kid and he starts learning by running on a bicycle and he falls and you say, why you fall and so on, I'm not sure he will go back on the bicycle. Huh? So no, I never heard such thing, but it's interesting to see how people can, feel responsible for that. Yeah, of course. Again, as mentioned, it really depends. Of course, if the people, if it was an easy phishing, I would say. But again, if you have an high population of your audience which feel like this after a phishing campaign, I would say there is a company culture issue. Sorry for the, that's, I give my personal point of view. For me, exercise, it's a game. Again, phishing campaign should be a game, okay? The goal is not to blame the guy who fixed the link, but just to understand, people should be happy to say to the security team, hey, I saw this phishing link. It's probably a campaign or whatever, but it doesn't matter. But people should be happy to declare, and even if they click on the link and potentially put their credential or whatever, okay, it's not good. But at least I always say, if you do a mistake, inform security team, okay? It's better. Don't be ashamed or don't try to hide, because as we know, one day or the other, if it was a real phishing link, it can come back on the company security. So, I didn't heard such an issue, but, I have plenty of time, so still offline, more than pleased to discuss this, because, a part of this, my son is doing a psychology master in the nation. That's another story. Another one?
Thank you.
I make it quick to get to a lot of questions. So.
Yes.
Hi, thanks for the talk. And I have a question related to employees. Sometimes does not see security as an ally because they are putting in place some controls that slow down the development teams and other controls to unlock USB ports, blacklist some applications. The list is long. And sometimes they just avoid going back to the security when they have an issue. They just solve it by their own, by deploying a tool or using the software which was forbidden by the security team. What is your thought regarding to that element which is real in our industry?
I would say again, why security is important. We all know that sometimes, as you know, you want to go on a website and it's filtered by the IT, and you say, oh gosh, I prefer to send the mail to the link to my home. I do the research and I came back after. Okay, so this is not standard, but a kind of a usual habit. So, but again, if you bring example, okay, for example, you take a software, okay, I don't know, okay, you say, as a company, they don't want I install, I don't know, I give a crazy name, 7-zip or whatever, a kind of non-official tool. But then you find example where in fact non-official tool, you have plenty of applications on the news, you have a lot of applications which are on stores, app stores, which are fake one with risk, and we know the security vulnerabilities, and we know potentially how it was used by cyber criminals. So if you give example like this, people might say, yeah, okay, I understand that I don't have to do anything within my company IT infrastructure. On the other hand, you should explain, I see that also sometimes. You should explain, you should try to find solution with them. Okay? If people say, okay, I want to do that, but I cannot do it. Okay, so you say, okay, I take that, we take that on account. Maybe we put that in place next year. In the meantime, please follow the normal rules and so on. But, you have to explain. I think a good thing, as we mentioned before, is to give example on what can happen if people are not doing it correctly. People say, okay, take the USB story, okay? It was beginning of the year, January, and it was, you do a USB, you do a Google search, USB, January, cybersecurity, Amazon, DHL, you will find the news. And you will see that, it causes issues, okay? And even today, okay? And, And okay, maybe you are not too young for that, but the first Iranian nuclear factory, okay, they went down because of USB stick, okay? The secret service, I will not give the name. They just distributed USB keys all around the factory, okay? Restaurant, hotels, and so on. And at the end, the uranium facility was down. The reactor went down. Not the reactor, but the accelerator or whatever. So just give example of what can happen. Okay.
Thanks.
And talk and try to find solution and understand why. Just don't say simply, sorry, you should not do that. Okay,
no,
great, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm sure you are not doing that, but...
No, but you are right. We should not behave like policemen, just finding people or just saying that you do not have to do that.
Yeah.
You have to bring solutions.
Yeah, you have to understand why they want to do that.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, thanks. Thanks.
Welcome. Another one? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you very much, all. Thank you.